Good afternoon and welcome to the Demolition Daily live stream. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. In this episode, though, I'm going to be offering some tuition, laying some knowledge upon you and dropping some truth bombs, if that's the kind of thing you're into. So just for now, I am Mr. Anthony and I will be your teacher for the day. And we start today's lesson with History 101. You can feel free to take notes because I may be asking questions later. If you do have any questions yourselves, please submit them in the comments below. Now, for those of you that were at work in 2008, 2009, I'd like you to cast your minds back. That was a period when the banks and the financial institutions' greed and mismanagement came home to roost even, and plunged the civilized world into the worst, longest and deepest recession in living memory. New contract awards in construction at the time struggled to pass the £1 billion mark per month, compared to the £4 billion that's become the average ever since. And that's well short of the £8.2 billion that we recorded in March, and even further short of the £9.7 billion that were recorded in April just gone. Not surprisingly, work was very, very hard to come by. Existing projects were pushed out and prolonged just to keep men and machines occupied. Companies failed, workers lost their jobs, and it would be years before the sector fully recovered. Now, I hope you've written all that down because it's going to be important. Now let's move on to Economics 101. Put it simply, scarcity is a key driver of both cost and value. And to prove that point, let's look at diamonds and saffron. Both of them are phenomenally expensive, and for good reason. Diamonds are extremely rare. Finding them is hard, and mining them is even more difficult and labour intensive. That's why they cost a fortune. On the other hand, with saffron, it takes 80,000 crocus flowers just to make 1 pound of saffron. And each of the flower's 3 stigma can only be harvested by hand. That's why, pound for pound, saffron costs more than gold. Now, if diamonds grew on trees, or if saffron harvesting could be mechanised, the value of both would plummet. Here endeth your economics lesson. So why am I telling you all this? Why am I treating you like errant school children? If you were watching yesterday, you'll know that the monthly total of new contract awards recorded in April 2020 was £9.7 billion. That's more than twice what we now consider the monthly average, and it's 10 times more than the recessionary lows of 2008 and 2009. Now, when yesterday's live stream ended, my email inbox lit up with messages and feedback from those that have been watching, as it usually does. I was expecting those messages to contain the distant sound of demolition hands being rubbed together in anticipation of sleeves being rolled up in readiness for a post-lockdown surge in demand. I couldn't have been more wrong. Instead of confidence and cautious optimism, message after message after message told tales of growing doom and gloom in the sector. Even as large swathes of the industry is being propped up by the government's job retention scheme, workers, including machine operators and site operatives, are being made redundant. And among those companies that are still working, a good many of them are imposing wage cuts on workers. The workers, they're the very people that will dig us and them out of our current situation. Although no one will actually admit as much, I heard several stories yesterday of machine operators being hit by wage cuts of as much as £3 per hour. That's a cut of 30 quid a day, 150 quid a week, £600 a month, when the industry's order book for the past 2 months is close on £20 billion, and when HS2 has just been given the green light. At a time when operators should be wrapped in cotton wool and fed choice titbits and have their egos gently stroked on a daily basis, some employers are cutting their wages. That's not just short-sighted, it's not just stupid, it just makes no sense. Think about our economics lesson earlier. Scarcity drives value and cost. Now, before the COVID-19 pandemic brought the world to a halt and placed many sites on lockdown, we were already in the middle of a skills shortage. A skills shortage when the sector was generating around £4 billion per month in new contract awards. Now, after 2 months in which the sector has doubled that average, machine operators, site operatives, and site supervisors and decent operatives should be prized as highly as saffron, not treated like a throwaway commodity. Sadly, this isn't a new departure. This isn't a side effect of COVID-19, and it's not some sort of cabin fever-induced madness. This is merely the industry reverting to type. For all its claims to the contrary, there are still large parts of the industry for whom stack it high and sell it cheap is their default reaction to whatever way the economic wind blows. When work is plentiful, they'll cut their rates to ensure they get the biggest possible slice of the action. When times get tough, they slash even further just to keep the wheels turning. They're embarked upon a single-minded, focused race to the bottom, regardless of what's going on around them. When I started doing these live streams 28 episodes ago, I expressed my hope and my concern that the industry would use this unforeseen downtime as an opportunity to reboot, to reset and to recalibrate, to right those past wrongs that have seen demolition dismissed as construction's poor relation. Some 7 weeks later, all those reasons and all those opportunities remain. In fact, in light of the contract awards of the past 2 months, the incentive and the opportunity to change has only grown stronger. Despite all of this, there are parts of the industry that apparently cannot wait to go back to their old ways, inflicting long-lasting harm on the wider sector by ceaseless cost and price undercutting. What is saddest here is the fact that the world has had 2 months to look at the bigger picture. We all applaud key workers and we implore governments to pay more to doctors and nurses that are helping us through the greatest health and safety threat the world has seen in centuries. Yet with the end of the lockdown drawing closer with each passing day, there are some that are already looking to financially undermine our key workers, the men and women on the site with the dirty boots, the people that really keep the industry's wheels turning. Maybe I was wrong to expect anything else. Let's not forget that while virtually every other industry sector embraced the lockdown, large parts of the construction sector sought to find a loophole that would allow them to keep working, to keep the sites open, and to keep the money rolling in. Those parts of the industry have no interest in polishing diamonds. They've made it very, very clear they will happily settle for disposable cubic zirconia. Now, Demolition Social Club. We are going to reconvene on Wednesday next week. I can't remember what the date of that will be, but it will be on demolitionnews.com. I'm certainly not looking to turn the Demolition Social Club into some sort of rant fest. My plan is to keep that as open and as free and as loose as we possibly can. So I'm not going to set the agenda, but I would like to think that some of the points that I've just made about excuse me, just eating soup. Some of the points I've made about the slashing of workers' wages at a time, at this time, might be one of the topics for conversation. So we hope you can join us for that. I do have a bit of work to do in the background just to make sure that we're ready for Wednesday night, but it will be 7 p.m. Wednesday night. We'll be doing it via Zoom because it worked pretty well last time that we did this. So keep an eye on demolitionnews.com for further details. In the meantime, I hope you have a good weekend. I hope I've given you some food for thought. In the meantime, I will be back on Monday, 3 o'clock here as ever. But in the meantime, stay safe, look after yourself, look after your family, your friends and your colleagues. Take care of each other. And I look forward to seeing you again on Monday at 3 p.m. All things being equal, have a good weekend and thanks for watching.